Alright, so with the release of Modern Warfare tonight, I was like, there are so many attachments in this game. I wish somebody would come out with a guide, you know, for all these attachments. And then I thought, wow, why don't I do the guide myself, a trusted source? So without further ado, because there are 70 attachments and I don't want this video to be like 50 minutes long, let's get right into it. Alright, another thing I just thought of before we started, if an attachment is useless, I'm just gonna say it's useless and then move on immediately, because there are, again, 70 attachments on the M4, so I don't want to just be spending my time here wasting time. So here we go. Alright, we're gonna start off. I'm just gonna use the base M4. Most of this is gonna be about recoil control, but there is gonna be some other things I might talk about. As you can see, we go up and to the right. That's what we're gonna base everything else off of, so here we go. Alright, first up is the flash guard, which is supposed to reduce your muzzle flash, I think, and as you can see, it really doesn't have any effect on the recoil. Next up, breacher device, which is supposed to make melee's one-hit kills, no other effects. Next up, the suppressor, which in other games used to reduce the range, I think, like damage range, but in this game it just makes it quieter, and as you can see, again, no other effects besides just making your gun quieter. Next up is muzzle brake, which is supposed to actually reduce recoil, and as you can see, it doesn't do that. And I don't think any of these attachments actually change most of the stats, if I'm being honest. At least by themselves. Alright, next up we got the lightweight suppressor, which is basically the same as the regular suppressor. It just makes your gun quieter. If anything, no, I don't think it changes anything either. Alright, next up we got the compensator, which is supposed to reduce recoil. And let's see. Okay, the compensator actually reduces recoil. We'll go over here to see it again. As you can see, it actually reduces it by quite a bit. It's like about half of the regular recoil, so that's like the first attachment that's actually done something so far. And last up in the muzzle category, we got the monolithic suppressor, which again has no effect on recoil. Up first, we got the FFS 11.5-inch commando. No effect on recoil, but I think you do sprint slightly faster, so maybe there's some upside to that. Alright, next up we got the stock M16 Grenadier. Doesn't really... Oh, hold on, let me do that again, Okay, so this attachment does slightly reduce recoil. It also comes with... Nope, no, I was lying, I thought it was something else. So it does reduce recoil though, good to know. Alright, next up is the FFS 14.5-inch tack light attachment, and the recoil is about average for what you'd expect, and I don't think there's any really other benefits to using this. Alright, next up is the Corvus Custom Marksman, which is supposed to reduce recoil, and I don't know, I'll try that again. It seems to slightly reduce recoil. Oh, even more than the other attachment actually. Okay, so far I think it slightly might be the best at reducing recoil in the barrel category, of course. And finally, we've got the FFS 12.25-inch Predator, and as you can see, it doesn't reduce recoil. I think all it does is make your gun quieter, but you know, that's not really that useful. Alright, next up we got the lasers, which I'm going to test a little bit differently. Instead of aiming down the sides, I'm going to, you know, just hip fire and see how it goes. So this is the first laser, the 1 milliwatt laser, which hip fires pretty bad, not gonna lie. So we'll see how the other lasers go. Alright, next up we got the 5 milliwatt laser, which is stronger, and the reticle looks smaller. So, and as you can see, it's basically the same recoil. We could do it again over here, and maybe there's a slight decrease of width and height, maybe, but it doesn't really make a difference. And finally, we have the tack laser, and we'll see how its hip fire goes. About the same as the other two, and I don't think any of these lasers really come with any other benefits besides hip fire accuracy. Like, there's other pros on most of these perks, but let me tell you, most of the time, they're not doing anything noticeable. Like, maybe a couple of frames, but besides that, nothing is happening. Alright, so next up for the optics, instead of going through each one and trying to figure out some random benefit it might or might not give you, I'm just going to give you my 5 favorite optics in this game, because a lot of them are trash. There are 20 different sights you can put on the M4 alone, but I'm going to give you the top 5. The first one here is the Cronin LP 945 mini reflex. It has a huge window outside of the area, and the dot is kind of clear, other than the middle of the glass is like not clear. So besides that, it's a good sight. The next one is the operator reflex sight, which is a little bit more zoomed in for like a longer range sight, but it's basically the exact same as the first one I showed. And yeah, it's just a solid all around reflex sight. Honestly, most of these are going to be reflex sights because all the other ones are pretty trash in my opinion. Alright, next up we got the Viper reflex sight, which is really like a throwback to like Black Ops 1 reflex sights with the really circular you know, sights with a dot in the middle that's green or whatever. So if you like that sort of style, like instead of like a half circle, you got a full circle with a dot in the middle, then I think this is the one for you. It's also a bit more medium range and like some of the mini reflexes. Alright, next up is the GI mini reflex, and if you're a big fan of having as much visibility around your sight as possible, this is one of the sights for you. The reflex is very tiny with a very defined edge around it, and the dot is just clear right in the middle. I feel like the recoil is a bit different on some of these sights, but like not noticeable enough for you to really like it bother you. You're just gonna have to get used to each individual sight that you want to change to. And finally, I decided to pick a weirder one for the end, but it's the monocle reflex sight, which has a really weird surrounding. It's not even like fully covered, but if you're looking for a longer range reflex and you don't want to use like the operator mod for some reason, I think you should try this one out just because I want to see if people can actually use it. So that's pretty much why I picked it. Anyways, back to normal attachments. Moving on to the stocks. The first one's the M16 stock, which I think is supposed to, if I'm not mistaken, increase aiming stability and decrease aim walking movement speed. But I've tested almost every single stock before this video, and I really only think about 2 or 3 of them even affect movement speed at all, let alone, you know, significantly enough for you to not use one of them because of the con of movement speed. And plus, you're gonna have to combo multiple attachments on top of each other for you to really notice a difference in strafing in this game, if I'm being honest. Alright, next up is the Syngard Arms Invader, which doesn't reduce recoil and again does not really change, you know, walking speed at all in any significant manner. Next up, apparently in this game there's an attachment in the stock category called No Stock, and this is one of the attachments where I actually did feel like strafing was a bit faster just by itself than the other categories, but it also means your bullets just go crazy. Like, your aiming stability in this game is affected by stock, so when you're walking, you can tell the difference of where your sight is just based on you walking around. And this no stock makes it absolutely horrendous. So like, if you're the one strafing forward, backwards, left, and right a lot while you're shooting, I don't know if I'd really recommend this just yet. And lastly, with the Forge Tac CQS, which I think is supposed to reduce movement speed or something. Let me check real quick. It's supposed to increase aim down speed, which I haven't noticed, and reduce aiming stability, which, I mean, it's really not that bad, honestly. But like, I'm telling you, most of these attachments are just superfluous in their, I don't know what that word means, so let's just move on. Alright, so for the underbarrel category, I've decided to skip all of the ones that don't have anything to do with like gunplay itself, because like, you know what a 40mm grenade launcher is, so I'm not going to sit here and explain that to you. So there's about 5 grips that I'm going to do here. So the first one is the Commando foregrip, which is, I think most of these are supposed to reduce recoil, so we'll find out. And yeah, you could tell that that does reduce the recoil. It also keeps the spread pattern really tight into the upright M4 recoil that is in this game right now. So yeah. Alright, next up is the Merc foregrip, which is also supposed to reduce recoil. And it's about the same as the Commando foregrip. I did back up a little bit in spot, so it might look a little worse, but I'm pretty sure that the Merc foregrip and the Commando foregrip are basically the same thing in game, honestly. So just, yeah. Alright, next up is the Tactical foregrip, which is supposed to just increase aiming stability, which you can definitely notice, but we'll see if it changes anything to do with recoil, which it clearly does not. It actually has worse recoil than all the other foregrips so far. Alright, next up is the Ranger foregrip, which is supposed to reduce recoil as well. And as you can see, it does about the same as the Merc and the Commando foregrip, so nothing too special. And finally, in the underbarrel section, we have the Operator foregrip, which is supposed to just reduce recoil. And as you can see, does about the same as every other foregrip in the underbarrel category. So yeah, most of these are just, you're gonna have to stack a lot of things on it, so you're gonna have to put some thought into this, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, for the ammunition category, only 2 of the ammunition choices affected the way the gun fires, so it's the last 2. The first one is the 9mm Para 32 round magazine, which I think makes your damage go down, but it's supposed to increase fire rate, which is obviously gonna probably increase the recoil. Which is strange because the spread on this is actually much smaller than the regular M4, which is weird, but I guess that's just the price of less damage. Next up is the .458 SOCOM 10 round mag, which I've seen used in-game. It's insane. I'm pretty sure it increases recoil by a lot and also decreases your mag size to 10, but it's supposed to have huge damage increases, which I have not tested yet, but I will. So let's test it out. And so the recoil is heavy, but since it's only a 10 round mag, it's not really, the recoil isn't a problem because you only have 10 shots in the mag anyway, so at most you're only getting about half of the recoil of the regular gun. So in the end, I guess it does balance out, but only having 10 rounds in a mag is a huge problem. Alright, moving on to the rear grips. There's only 3, so granulated grip tape is up first, and I think it's supposed to reduce sway when you're aiming, but you can't really tell the difference, honestly. The recoil is about the same as the regular M4. Next up is the rubberized grip tape, which I think is supposed to reduce recoil, but as you can see, it's not doing too well, as are most of the attachments in this game so far. Lastly is the stippled grip tape, which as you can see, doesn't change the recoil too much. If anything, it might even slightly increase it. It doesn't change the walking speed as I've tested so far, so take some of these with a grain of salt. And lastly, for the perks, there's only about 2 of them that actually affected the gunplay in a way that you could tell without, you know, going into a game and shooting people, which I don't even know if that would be effective anyways. The first one is obviously sleight of hand, which doesn't do anything to the recoil of the gun, but actually significantly increases the reload speed. Like, if I was gonna guess, it'd probably be around, like, it doubles the speed of your reload, which I think is huge in this game. And the second perk obviously is the burst perk, which turns any automatic weapon that the perk can go on into a 3-burst weapon, and which is actually huge because as you can see, it brings the recoil down significantly. This is me literally holding the trigger down, basically just spamming as fast as I can, and the spread is insane. This might be one of the biggest perks in the game because the M4 can 3-shot people, I'm pretty sure, at most ranges in this game. So being able to keep your spread this tight that easily is going to be huge. And that should just about cover all of these attachments, as again, like I said before the video, most of them are just going to be useless when you're comparing them 1-to-1. So you're going to have to find a good combination that actually like stacks up the pros and cons to actually affect your gun in like a meaningful way. But again, if you want to see me do this for more of like a strafe speed, aim steadiness kind of video, I will do that. But the amount of patience it takes to sit there and frame by frame strafe speeds, aiming speeds, one attachment at a time is like ridiculous. And it's like 5 a.m. right now while I'm recording this video, so I'll do it, but only if I'm incentivized to do it. Alright, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? If you like the video, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, check the socials. I don't know, go watch other cool videos about Modern Warfare, because you're definitely not going to get any more from me, because this game is trash so far. And,